Can Linux finally beat Windows in 2025? That's the question everyone's asking. And this time, the answer might actually surprise you. For years, Linux has been called the underdog, the geek's OS, or the system only developers use. But in 2025, something big is happening. The balance between Linux and Windows is shifting faster than ever before. Windows has ruled the desktop world for decades. It's what most people grew up using. It's on school computers, offices, and gaming PCs. But times are changing, with more people exploring open source technology, privacy concerns growing, and AI pushing new possibilities. Linux has begun to look less like an alternative and more like the future. Let's imagine this for a moment. What if Linux truly became mainstream in 2025? What if you could walk into a store and see laptops running Fedora, Ubuntu, or Zorin OS next to Windows machines? What if even casual users started saying, yeah, I use Linux, and it just works? That vision isn't as far away as it once seemed. The biggest reason Linux might finally beat Windows is control and freedom. In 2025, users care about privacy more than ever before. They're tired of data tracking, targeted ads, and constant background telemetry. Windows 11 and 12 have become heavily connected to the cloud. Everything from your login to your settings is linked to Microsoft as servers. Linux, on the other hand, gives full control back to the user. No forced accounts, no ads in the start menu, no hidden data collection. It's just your system, your way. And here, that's the thing. Linux today, ISNT, the complicated terminal-only OS. It used to be modern distributions like Zorin OS, Ubuntu, Linux, Mint, and Fedora are incredibly polished. They look and feel as smooth as Windows, with beautiful interfaces, app stores, and easy installations. In fact, a new user can install Linux in less than 15 minutes, no coding needed. Performance is another area where Linux shines. While Windows has become heavier with every release, Linux remains lightweight and efficient. It can run on older hardware that Windows can barely boot on. For gamers, that used to be a deal breaker, but not anymore. Thanks to Proton and Steam Deck, gaming on Linux has exploded. Over 70% of top Steam games now run perfectly on Linux, and in many cases, even perform better than on Windows. That's huge. Now let's talk about security. Windows still struggles with malware, ransomware, and endless patches. Linux, by its design, is more secure. Its permission system makes it harder for viruses to spread, and updates come faster and more transparently. In a world where cybersecurity is one of the biggest concerns, Linux's security model gives users peace of mind. But the story isn't just about desktops anymore. Linux is already everywhere. In your phone, Android, your smart devices, your servers, even your cars, dashboard. Over 95% of the world's servers run Linux, supercomputers, AI data centers, and cloud systems, all powered by Linux. Windows dominates the home, but Linux rules the world behind the scenes. The real question is, when will that power reach the desktop? 2025 might be that turning point. Why? Because AI is changing the game. Windows has tied itself tightly to Microsoft Copilot, an AI assistant integrated into the system. It's powerful, yes, but it's also centralized, meaning your data and queries are processed through Microsoft's servers. Linux, however, is opening up the world of local AI models that run on your own machine with complete privacy. Projects like Olema LM Studio and open source Copilot alternatives are giving users AI tools without sacrificing privacy. This shift could attract millions of tech enthusiasts, developers, and creators who want intelligent computing but with full control. And it's not just tech people anymore. Even ordinary users are switching to Linux for one simple reason: stability. Windows updates have become notorious for breaking features or forcing restarts. Meanwhile, Linux updates are fast, non-intrusive, and customizable. Want to update only security patches? You can. Want full system upgrades without downtime? Easy. Let's not forget about cost. Windows licenses, Office subscriptions, and app purchases add up. Linux, on the other hand, is free, not just in price, but in principle. You can install it on as many systems as you like, share it, modify it, and build on it. That spirit of freedom has inspired entire communities. And in 2025, that community is stronger than ever before. But to be fair, Linux still faces challenges. The biggest one, software compatibility, many professional apps, Adobe Creative Suite, certain games with Entity, and specialized corporate tools still rely on Windows. Yes, Linux alternatives exist, but not everyone wants to switch from Photoshop to GIMP or Premiere to Cadet. Until companies start offering native Linux versions of their apps, this will remain a hurdle. Another issue is driver support. While Linux supports most modern hardware out of the box, some devices, especially printers, webcams, and GPUs, still perform better on Windows. However, that gap is closing fast. NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel are now releasing official Linux drivers more frequently than ever before. So, can Linux really beat Windows in 2025? Maybe not in total market share, but in innovation, freedom, and growth, it's already winning. The more Microsoft locks Windows behind cloud accounts, AI paywalls, and ads, the more users will look elsewhere. And Linux, with its open source heart and community spirit, is waiting with open arms. Imagine a future where Linux dominates not just servers and phones, but also homes and offices, where developers, gamers, and creators all share a common open platform, where your computer truly belongs to you again. That's the vision Linux offers. And in 2025, it feels closer than ever. So the next time someone asks, can Linux finally beat Windows? Remember this, maybe the question isn't when will Linux win, but why hasn't it already? Because in the end, Linux doesn't need to beat Windows to succeed. It just needs to keep growing, evolving, and giving users the one thing they've always wanted: freedom. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of operating systems, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, are you switching to Linux in 2025? Or are you staying with Windows? Your answer might just predict the next big shift in computing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.